Hi folks, I am going to show you how to take this board here and make another plank and then make another plank and another plank that all look a little bit different, so you can create the from one board multiple boards that could be like a wood floor or a wood paneled wall. Okay, so the first thing I need to do is I need to change the size of my canvas. Okay, so I'm going to go up to image, go to image size, and you can see my image size is is 6 inches by 1.353. So this at 300 dpi. So my image size is this picture of this piece of wood. So if I go up here to canvas size, I am going to enlarge this. Sorry, my cat is biting my fingers while I'm trying to do this. I'm going to make this, if my width is 6 inches, I'm going to triple that. So I'm going to make this 18 inches. And then I'm going to make the height. So if I wanted to have multiple planks, let's say I wanted to have 5. So I'm going to make this, say, 8. Okay, now if I just say OK, it's going to create all this extra space around this board. I'm going to do Command Z for a moment. And I'm going to do this again, where I'm going to go to Image, Canvas Size, and I'm going to click down here, and I'm going to put in 18 again by 8, and you'll see what happens. It put the board down in this corner. I'll zoom out a bit. So it's, instead of expanding from the middle, it expands from the sides. So I have this board here. I'm going to zoom in again. I'm going to select what I have and copy it. So I can use my rectangular marquee and grab that. Because I'm videotaping, I am going to be going up to my menu bar up here instead of just doing command keys, but because otherwise it cuts off my video. But so you can always go up here and find out what the command keys are. So Command C is copy and Command V is paste. So here I have a new board, and to move that board, I switch to this tool here. And so here you have 2 boards, and I'm going to move them and zoom out. So you can see I can keep creating this board. And what's going to happen eventually is you're going to start to see the same pattern repeat itself. So I want to mix it up a little. So I'm going to take the board right here, and under Edit, I actually need to select it again. I'm going to select by clicking on the board, and I am going to go to Transform, and I can rotate it, or I can actually flip it. So I'm going to flip it horizontally, and so it reversed that pattern. So now I'm going to copy this layer again here so that I can copy and paste again, but I can also just make a duplicate layer. So if I hit here, duplicate layer, it's created a new layer, and it's right on top. So I can move this over here. So the last time I flipped it, I'm going to do this again, but this time instead of just flipping horizontal, I'm going to rotate it 180 degrees. So now you see I've got 3 different planks that are created from the same plank, and they're a little bit of variety. And I'm mixing them up here so that they look more irregular, and I'm going to zoom in. One of the things you want to make sure is you don't end up with a little white space in between the boards when you're moving them around, okay? And it tends to snap together when you see those pink lines showing. I'm going to zoom out here. So I'm going to paste one more board by, let me say, I'm going to take this, I'm clicking on the bottom layer here again, and I'm going to duplicate by going to the hamburger here and duplicating this layer. And so I'm going to move this board over to here. See, those pink lines help me to just drop it right where it's going. So I can do this and get away with this for a while, but what I'm going to do is show you how to go and use this clone stamp tool to get rid of some stuff and nuance this. So I am on, when you click on different pieces, notice how which layer I'm on is changing. So when I click on a different board, it goes automatically to that layer if they're distinctly different, if where I'm touching is isolated. So I'm going to go to, say, this layer, and I want to take out this knot because it really makes it look, it stands out. So I'm going to use my clone stamp tool, and I am going to make my the size larger, and I can float over it to see where it is so I can see that round circle to see what that looks like. I'm going to make it a little smaller, and I'm going to make my hardness nice and soft. So I am going to hit my Option key. So see the way it changes that look? I'm going to click on my Option key here where I've got this simple pattern, and I am going to brush this pattern over top of this board. So see the way it's working a little bit in here, but then it's sort of stopping right here. The reason why it's stopping is because I have exceeded the board that I have to work from, which is hard for you to see right now. I'm going to zoom out. So what I'm doing is I was actually sampling from the board up above and didn't even realize it. So what happens when you try to, I'm going to go up into my histories for a moment, and I'm going to go back to here to move. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you how if I, while I'm zoomed out, if I click on this board, I'm going to get this board here, and I'm going to hit Option to grab a section of this board, and I'm just going to paste it up here. So see, it's pasting for a while, and then at some point right there, there's no more board. It's got this, it just stops. And if I keep going, well, I'm not going to keep going. I'm going to delete this for a moment now. Okay. So what I'm going to do is sorry, let me zoom in here. I'm going to make sure I'm going to hide these other layers so I can see exactly where I'm working, that I don't go off my layer. So those other layers showing up, when I was zoomed in, I couldn't see that I was not on my actual layer. So I'm going to go back to my clone stamp tool. I'm going to hit Option. I'm going to grab this area here, and I'm going to brush over these knots here. So that looks nice and less defined there. And notice my movements are sort of soft so that you don't see hard edges. So I'm going to continue over here to remove this, and I can just remove that. And so I'm sort of swishing. See the way the wood grain swishes? I'm sort of going in the direction of this wood grain. So it sort of looks a little bit abrupt right here. So I think I'm going to select this where it's swishy here, and I'm going to create this swoosh that goes down there. And that sort of, it's a little funky, but the way it blends in there is nice. Here it's a little weird. So I'm going to, what am I going to do? I'm thinking while I'm talking here. I'm going to grab over here where it's pretty simple and just sort of smooth this out a bit. And then in the meantime, I can get rid of that. You see this knot showing up back there. So I'm pretty happy with that. You don't see the knots. It looks pretty simple. So what I'm doing is I keep copying and creating this board, and I've hidden these knots. So let me just do one more down here. I'm going to eliminate this knot down here so it doesn't look too specific. So I'm going to click on this particular layer, and I'm going to grab my clone, and I'm going to hit right, whoops, sorry, while I was holding down the Option key, I made it zoom in. So I'm going to zoom out a bit. So I'm going to grab this area right here, which seems nice and plain. So again, I'm going to grab oops, I think I'm not on the right layer that I thought I was on. Let me turn on my, see, I'm not on that quite layer. There I am. Okay, so by turning the eyeball on and off, I can figure out which layer I'm in when I'm blown up. All right, so this is a nice simple area. I'm going to hold down my Option key, click here, and then come over here, and I'm going to pay attention to those curves. Oh, that grain looks like it's falling in pretty nice there. I'm going to go over here where it gets a little lighter because it was ending a little dark there. And I'm pretty happy with that. I'm going to zoom out now. And so now that I've made this board here a little different, I can copy, or actually I'm just going to go and duplicate that particular layer. I'm going to move this board. I'm going to go up to rotate it 180 degrees, and I'm going to let it snap over here. So I seem to have gotten in here this little bit of white in here, I think. So I want to make sure I don't have white there. Nope, it's good. Okay, so I'm going to zoom out, and I am going to duplicate maybe this board here, and I'm going to say duplicate this layer, and I'll move this board over here. Look at those pink lines, see how they're guiding me. And now I'm going to take this one right here. So I keep clicking on that image and it's automatically taking me to that layer. I'm going to duplicate this layer, and I'm going to go up to back up to Edit, to Transform, and I'm going to flip horizontal this time and move this one here. And I'm going to move this one here down here because I want to show you some completed pieces of wood here. I'm going to copy this one and paste it over here. Okay, so now that I've got this wood, I can keep going until I get more, but depending on how much, where you're going to work, will determine how much pattern you make. So I'm going to select this area here, and I'm going to use this for my project. And so I can go and say crop. And so now I've got this cropped wood. So now the very important thing I need to do now, if I go and I try to copy this and paste it in my new layer, it's multiple layers. I need to go in and flatten this. So I go under layers, and I can either merge down, which if you look at my layers, it's going to merge layer 0, copy, layer 0, copy. It just merged those two layers, so it merges the layer below it. Or I can say merge visible, which is going to merge all of them because they're all highlighted. Say I didn't have this one highlighted or this one highlighted. So if I said merge visible, it doesn't merge those two because they're not turned on. So if I go here and I say merge visible, it's going to do all of those. Now, I also had the option where I could say, let me do Command Z for a moment, where under layers, I can go and say flatten image, which I don't want to do because what happens when I flatten the image, I mean, I can do it, I'm going to do it right now. Flatten image, it goes back and it makes it my background image, so I have to double click to unlock that layer so it can be a transparent layer. Okay, so now I can take this image, I can copy it, and then I can go and paste it into my room or wherever else I'm going to be pasting something, and I can manipulate it. So you need to, again, I'll repeat that. So under layers, you want to go and either merge your layers that are showing, merge the visible, or merge all the layers that you have selected. Okay? Hope this helps you. Take care.